Las Vegas is none other than Jordan Thomasson, the owner of the account Colts Empire. How's it going, man? Do you want to just introduce yourself?
Yeah, I appreciate it. I'm really grateful for you letting me on to your show. I have another podcast where we kind of talk more general stuff that's going on in the world, and then we'll add in sports. But I really appreciate being here and being able to talk Colts. But me, just got out of college. I'm actually an officer in the U.S. military. I'm living in Las Vegas right now, so I work on base over here at Nellis Air Force Base. So that's pretty much me.
Excellent. What branch of the military are you in?
Air Force.
Air Force. Okay.
Yep.
Excellent. Myself, I'm ex-Navy, Royal Navy.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so I know a bit about that service life. It can be a nightmare,
Right.
but it can also be a lot of fun.
Right.
Anyway, we're not here today to talk about military. I'm sure you want to get away from it. We're here to talk about the Colts. What we will be talking about today is the off-season. And, you know, the big off-season move was getting Carson Wentz in. Was you a fan of this trade when it happened? Was you not so sure? What were your initial thoughts?
I honestly loved it. I went on Instagram and I was like months before. Actually, it was probably during the season, maybe right before the playoffs started when the Eagles season ended because they didn't make the playoffs. I was like, man, I would love to have. I went on my Instagram on my story and I was like, I would love to have Carson. I think he's still a superstar in him. So I loved it personally. Him and Coach Reich together. What about you?
Yeah, I mean, in all honesty, I wasn't his biggest fan to start with. But that's maybe just because I saw the highlights of Carson Wentz last year. You know, being over here, we don't get full coverage. I watch what I can with my Game Pass, but that's about it. But as soon as, you know, Jim Irsay's playing touchdown in Indy with Carson Wentz in, that guy was my quarterback, and I'm going to back him to the hills. But what did you see in Carson Wentz that was a massive strength, or what did you see that, you know, this guy isn't a quarterback?
Right. No, that's a good question because he definitely has some flaws. I mean, I was excited for it, but he definitely has some things he has to work on. Decision making is obviously the big one that everyone knows, maybe some confidence. But the things that I saw was I really just saw a lot of flashes of Andrew Luck in him. I definitely don't think he's as good as Andrew Luck. I would much prefer to have a prime Andrew Luck over Carson Wentz, but I think he does have some Andrew Luck traits. I think he has a strong arm, like T.Y. Hilton said a few days ago after throwing with him, that he had a strong arm. You know, obviously he's athletic, big dude. And so I think those are really the things that I like is his escapability, his big arm. When he's hot, but he does need to work on, you know, confidence, decision making, not taking hits that he doesn't have to take, you know.
Yeah, we learned a lot about quarterbacks taking hits they don't have to take. Freedom medium.
Oh yeah.
Exactly.
Oh yeah.
But I think what big testament to Carson Wentz is someone like T.Y. Hilton, the ghost re-signing, you know, with the Colts. He didn't have to. He could have got better money or elsewhere. He could have gone ring chasing. For him to re-sign, that T.Y. Hilton way of saying he believes Carson Wentz is a contender. Yeah.
I do. Sorry, it was a little bit of a lag, but yeah, no, I do. I was really big on the Ty train. I wanted to get him back. I think that he's not maybe 100% what he was. But I think that he making Pittman, Campbell. I think we have some good things going, but a good veteran guy who's been there. I think that was better for us than maybe a Sammy Watkins. You know, I personally me. But I think it does. I think it does put us in contention. I think it puts us more in contention keeping Ty.
Yeah, I mean, he's a extremely underrated wide receiver throughout his time in the league. I think he's just over 400 yards, I think, away from being at 10,000. This would be the Colts, the first franchise to have 3 different players over 10,000 receiving yards. Is this something that's easily achievable this year?
Oh, 400 for Ty, it's got to be. I mean, granted, I hope not, pray not that there's no freak injury that happens. Would never hope that. Knock on wood. But 400 yards should easily, I feel like, be. To me, I think he should be aiming around the 600-yard mark for the season minimum.
Yeah, especially with the emergence of Pittman, who had a good end to the year, let's say. Take it at the start, but come on strong. People like Zach Pascal stepping up massively.
Right.
Paris Campbell to come back from injury. We yet to see a full season from him. You know, he's had 2 freak accidents.
Right.
But one part of this offense we need to talk about, which is probably going to be the main part of the offense next year, is the running back room. In the league in general, how good is this Colts running back room?
You know, I compared a lot to. I'm a big fan of the 49ers running back room because they have when they're all healthy, of course, they have like Mostert, Hasty, Coleman, another guy I can't think of it, but they're really deep. So I'm a really big fan of theirs. But they're not usually healthy all the time. That's their big problem. But I think I just can't see anybody because all the way down to I just tweeted this morning. I was just thinking about it because I saw the Colts tweet a video of running back room and some highlights. And I was like, anybody on our team who plays the running back position, including Jordan Wilkins, I feel like has the ability to take it to the house. I mean, if you look at Jordan Wilkins a couple seasons ago, not necessarily last season, but before Jonathan Taylor came on, he was the third back. But you saw him break out these 20, 30-yard runs sometimes for a touchdown. Like just, you know, whenever he got the touches, he made the most of them. So I have so much confidence. I don't see, and there's a few other good running back rooms. Like I said, the 49ers when they're healthy. But besides that, I really don't see a running back room that can compete with the Colts. I don't.
And it's not just the competition and the talent that we got. It's also for the price we got it. This running back room cost $7 million this year.
Right. That's amazing.
Imagine someone saying to you at the end of last year, you can have Jonathan Taylor and Marlon Mack for $7 million and 2 other running backs as well. You know, you're going mental.
Right.
You know, but about Carson Wentz, you know, this is make or break for Carson because he has all the tools he has to succeed.
Yeah.
You know, this is no excuses year for him, right? He's got to make it work.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. No, I 100% agree. I don't think that means get to the AFC Championship, or I think that we definitely have the team to do it, and I think we would have underachieved a little bit if we're full healthy. But I don't think that means win a Super Bowl or even get to the AFC Championship. And if those things don't happen, then he's done for. But he needs to show that he can lead a team. He needs to show that he can make good decisions. We're not in a strong division, so a lot of times coaches will say things like, you know, do the right things and winning will take care of itself. Well, we're in a really weak division. We don't know our exact schedule yet, but we know the teams that we're playing, and our schedules is pretty favorable. And so Carson has to be able to lead us and win a few games for us to at least get us over 10 wins. Like we have the roster to do it. We have the coaching to do it, the division to do it in. I mean, like you said, it's made for him. He has to be able to do it. You know,
the big takeaway for me from last year, you know, looking at Carson especially, is he's not going to get sacked 55 times or 52 times what it was in a year. You know, that's over 3 or 4 sacks a game, pretty much. So, you know, it's just if he can find his step, you know, it's how much can we bring back from MVP Carson Wentz. And, you know, that guy took that team to the Super Bowl, you know, only to get an injury in the playoffs.
Right. You know, it's interesting that you said that because let me throw something at you. I just thought it was really funny. So I was having a conversation with some Eagles fans on Facebook, and the original post said that here's a winner, and it showed Jalen Hurts, and it said here's a loser, and it showed Carson Wentz. And then of course, you know, people say whatever they want, but I was like, I asked, and I was like, I said my comment to that was, okay, so since Jalen Hurts is a winner and Carson Wentz is a loser, then the Eagles should easily have a better record than the Colts next year, then, because we have a loser leading us, like y'all say, and y'all winner leading y'all.
Yeah.
And their response to that was so funny to me, because what like 3 different people said in response to that was, well, that's not fair because Jalen Hurts has a bad roster and the Colts have a better roster than us. And I was like, wait, so Jalen Hurts gets a pass, but Carson Wentz didn't get a pass when he was throwing to practice squad receivers and getting sacked every other play. How does that work?
Yeah, that's these armchair GMs. They think they know everything, you know.
Oh.
No matter who you are in the league, right? You're an extreme talent. You've made it to the league. So for me, there's got to be a bit of an athlete there. There's got to be some thinking Carson Wentz. It's just, can we get him back? And with regards to him and Jalen Hurts, didn't he win the job back off Jalen Hurts after like 2 games?
Oh yeah, he did, and then got it taken away again. But yeah. So
yeah, I think that was just a messed up situation in Philadelphia for everyone involved. So
No, I do remember that game. Carson got benched, and then Jalen played the rest of the game, and the next game Carson started again. So I'm like, you're like, this is just a bad looking situation, you know?
Yeah. But enough about the QB. Onto the other side of the ball, the defense. You know, this is a big. I wouldn't say it's a weak point for the Colts, but you know, Rock Ya-Sin got exposed a bit. We have a lack of edge rush that got exposed, especially against Josh Allen and the Bills. So, where do we need to step up next season?
Oh man, yeah, defense is a big one. We need an edge presence for sure. I was kind of hoping that we were gonna bring someone back, like a veteran, almost like a Justin Houston or something like that. You know, honestly, edge is really important. I mean, really, like they always say that you need to be able to get to their quarterback and protect yours, and we're doing pretty good protecting ours. However, we need to be able to get to theirs. And since we haven't really brought anybody, I know we've brought some bodies in. Like we signed the kid that was at San Diego not San Diego anymore, the Chargers, for some depth. I'm hoping that maybe Teray and the guys that we have step a little bit more, but it looks like we're gonna have to go to the draft when it comes to the edge. And honestly, which I'm not really too. This draft is it's different because it doesn't seem like it's like extremely deep to me. So I have prospects that I look at when it comes to, like, you know, offensive linemen and edge guys and stuff like that. But I'm like, something in my heart really tells me that Ballard's gonna trade down and trade back into the draft, which kind of messes up like the prospects that I'm looking at, because I'm like, well, depending on how far he trades back, you know, they may not be there anymore.
Yeah.
So it's tough to give a prospect, but when it comes to Rock Ya-Sin, yeah, I mean, it's one of those things to where we're big on development. Especially on the defensive side of the ball. Like Okereke didn't get, and now he's starting. It's just a lot. You know, Julian Blackman until Malik Hooker, he didn't get, like, they like the process, which has played out good. But when it comes to Rock Ya-Sin, I understand development, and then there's a little bit of development, but there's also a little bit of me thinking like, maybe he just doesn't have it. You know, maybe he's a guy. I don't think he's bad enough to just get cut. You know, he's not a total bum. But I'm thinking that we're going to have to go in a different direction. I expect Ballard it could possibly be the 3rd round that he takes a cornerback. If maybe, and then maybe if he doesn't take one too early in the draft, and look to probably see him pick up a veteran cornerback after the draft. I know Casey Hayward, who used to play for the Chargers, is still available. So that's a pretty good, he's older, but you know, so I think edge is definitely the most important. Yeah. Talking about defense real quick, if you don't mind, a different position linebacker. I actually was not upset that we let Anthony Walker go. Reason being was he was so bad in coverage that I was like, he was really good at run stopping. Wasn't Pro Bowl level run stopping, but he was good. But I saw Bobby Okereke as just a complete upgrade, just me personally. Yeah. So
and you know, like you said, it doesn't have to end ugly. You know, if Anthony Walker wants to move on, He's allowed to move on. That's football.
Right.
Sometimes you just don't fit the scheme. I think he's a player who doesn't fit our scheme.
Right.
In regards with Rock Ya-Sin, do you think he's looking over his shoulder at Isaiah Rodgers?
Oh yeah. I think he's looking over his shoulder. Like I know Marvell Tell is coming back because he didn't play last season. I think Rock should be looking over his shoulder for anybody else in that room, no matter if it's somebody who's brought in, who's already there, who's drafted, because he made a few good plays, which I think is saving him a little bit. But he made a few when he intercepted Aaron Rodgers, and he's made a few good plays, but no, he needs to be worried because it's one season okay, 2 seasons like all right, you're losing your job now.
Yeah, it's I mean, after re-signing Xavier Rhodes as well, that CB1 spot is locked up for the foreseeable future for Xavier.
Right.
What importance is it not only getting a veteran like T.Y. Hilton back, but getting a veteran that's had a re-emergence year, should we say, in Xavier Rhodes back?
I think it's specifically when it comes to Xavier Rhodes, I love him more than anything. I was a big fan of him when he was on the Vikings because it was so unique to have like such a big corner. Like he's a tall, lanky guy, and usually corners are smaller. But I love him because if you really pay attention to Colts games, he's so vocal. Like vocal is in like he talks trash to the team, and I'm not a big trash talker myself when I compete. However, when it comes to such a aggressive game like football, I think that builds us up so much. It brings us together, and him and Darius Leonard, Julian Blackman talks a little bit. Like all those guys talking, like I really think it does nothing but help your defense and help the intensity. So I think bringing Xavier Rhodes back was essential. I actually thought that bringing Xavier Rhodes back was more important than bringing T.Y. Hilton back. Now I really wanted T.Y. Hilton back, but if I had to pick one, I would have went Xavier Rhodes.
Yeah, I can understand that. It's like we said, you got to love T.Y.
No.
Absolute cult legend.
No.
If not Hall of Fame, definitely Ring of Honor.
Right.
But like we said, at this moment in time, we don't need receivers because we've got a good, talented receiver core. We need cornerback. So Xavier would have been the priority there. But what does it say about Indianapolis when these guys could have gone out and got 12, 40 million a year contracts if we wanted to? What does it say that Indianapolis is a place where people now want to play football?
Right. I think that's actually a great question. That's a really good question because it shows how good Chris Ballard is. I mean, I think that they really trust him. I think that he's like a shooter. I think he tells this will give you an opportunity to play. Give you that opportunity, or when coach gives you that opportunity, make the most out of it. And if you ball out, we will take care of you. I mean, you stay with the Colts for a few years, you kind of turn into one of our guys. Now I know Bad loves drafting and he loves his drafted guys. Like he's forever gonna love, Quentin Nelson, Darius Leonard, Kenny Moore, even though we didn't draft Kenny Moore, but he's been here since Ballard was here. But when you've been here for a while and like, for example, DeForest Buckner, he's going to be here for the foreseeable future, barring any injury, and we didn't necessarily draft him, but, you stay here for a few years, and if you can show consistency and consistently playing good, bringing the team together, a good locker room guy, good cultural guy, Ballard will take care of you. And I think that they think that. I think that they realize that Xavier Rhodes, he may have been slightly underpaid coming back and may have been able to get a longer contract with a little bit more money with another team. But he knows, like, hey, I ball out this year and next year. I mean, the Colts have like some of the most cap space, so it's not like they don't have the money. So, I ball out this year. Next year, they may give me a 2-year deal. I know he's getting up there on age, but he was like, or they might bring me on a 1-year deal and give me some more money. You know what I mean? But he knew he was going to have opportunity. I think they just trust him.
And I mean, we look at Carson Wentz as the big signing. A guy who's come from a bad situation. If Chris Ballard's record is anything to go off, you look at Xavier Rhodes, who was apparently done. I had Vikings fans sending me pictures of burnt toast saying, he's washed up, he's wasted.
Yeah.
You know, and then as well, you look at Stephon Diggs going to the Bills, and he again had another re-emergent year. Yeah. So the Colts fans have got to look forward to. Just believe Chris Ballard. Surely, you know, you've got to give it everything to him now because of what he's drafted. You know, everyone went crazy when he traded back front three, that number 3 pick, when the Jets got Darnold. He took the worst draft pick in Darius Leonard. You know, so what's really giving you faith that this is our Super Bowl window?
I just there's really no. I think that Ballard's great at drafting, so I think that every year since Ballard has been here, now the year that we got Quincy Nelson, or not Quincy, Wilson and Nate Harrison, back in W, we got Paris Campbell from that. We got Marlon Mack from that. So he has the ability to draft, and he has the ability to pick guys out who will be instant starters. So I think that he has the ability to use the draft and the rest of the offseason to be able to fill the few holes that we have, which is like an edge rush, a left tackle. And so but other than that, like we just have the team. Like I think that we have the DBs. You know, we get Rock out of there, or maybe Rock substantially has, you know, increased his abilities or something like that during the training camp. But if not, I think we have the ability to replace that or to work with it. And I just think we have the most complete team. Like I try to say that as non-biasedly as possible. I try to look at, and I'm like, because when I say complete is I say that we don't have that one guy on the D line or the one guy. I mean, we have talent, but we don't have like Darius can make a play on the linebackers. We have another linebacker in Bobby Okereke. On the D line, we have DeForest Buckner who leads it, but Grover Stewart had a great year last year. We just have multiple players in the same position group that can make plays, which shows how well-rounded you are as a team.
Yeah, exactly. A quick one on the sort of last bit on the QBs. Did you expect Phillip Rivers to retire after the season he had?
I really didn't. I really didn't. I to be honest, I don't know how big. I think you're wearing a 17 jersey, so you might be a big Phillip Rivers guy.
Well, 17 is my lucky number.
Okay.
This is like the 2017 jersey. It's an old one. But it's just 17 is my lucky number.
Okay. Got it. Okay. Yeah, no, I was not a big fan of Phillip. So I hate to say I'm happy he retired because I want somebody to continue to do what they love, whatever it is.
Yeah.
But when they were talking as soon as the season ended, when they said that basically Ballard, I remember him and Reich saying, you know, we're happy to have him back if he decides to come back. I was like, oh, well, Phillip's here for another season. You know, I was like, there's no way he's going to retire. And him retiring was really, I mean, just the competitiveness, the way that he talks, like the tears coming. I'm like, he's not really injured. I mean, he had the turf toe, which I'm sure an off season can fix. But I was really surprised about that. What about you? Were you surprised?
Massively, and I think at the start it was a bit shaky, the relationship. You know, we thought it sort of felt like another season gone to waste.
No.
But then we saw in the end what an actual great and, you know, veteran QB he was. He sort of come into his own. Me personally, I felt like he wanted to run it back. But like I said, maybe they both, you know, decided, it's not going to work.
Yeah.
It was a bit of a weird one, especially because, you know, it's nice getting used to a QB who wanted to talk trash. I'm all up for the being humble, you know.
Yeah.
And, you know, when you get defeated, you're gracious in defeat. That's all well and good. But you need that guy who's going to chat on the line. Just keep the defense occupied, keep them thinking, what's he saying, get in the red. And that, you saw his and, you know, he could have just come for the payday. He could have left the Chargers and just come for the payday, but he didn't. He put a lot into it. I think that's why I was surprised when he retired.
Right. Yeah. No, really good point, especially with all them kids he has. Yeah. He probably does appreciate the extra money. So yeah, good point.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So the coaching stuff that we've got at the minute, questioned a lot last year by everyone, including myself, especially in the playoff game. Do you think our coaching staff is adequate, or do you think it's really good? Do you think it's underrated? What's your honest opinions?
I think that when it comes to, I'll start with the head coach. I think that Frank Wright, I think that he's what we need at the moment. Because when Frank Wright came here after, basically he was the second guy, because we were gonna get Josh Daniels. Was that Josh Daniels? Is that his name that we were gonna get? Yeah. Or Josh McDaniels. Yeah.
Yeah, Josh McDaniels.
So and he had made the comment, he was like, being the backup has suited me well in my career, which he was, referring to when he was a backup quarterback for the Bills. And I just really thought, I was like, he's a guy that's really, no matter what, he's gonna go into the situation with a good attitude. And that's what you need, I feel like, when you go into a situation where it's kind of a losing team. Like at that point, we didn't have a really good team. We had to beat up Andrew Luck. And so I think Coach Wright is exactly what we need. I would say I was critical of the only thing that I would say I was critical of when it comes to our coaching staff was Nick Sirianni, only because, and he went to the Eagles, which I was very surprised that he got that head coaching job. Only because now we have a head coach that was a quarterback, so I'm pretty sure he called a lot of plays, probably not all of them, but a lot. Or I don't know. I don't know how many he did, but I know he called some. But next year, I was just like, we had so many weapons that unfortunately Paris Campbell got hurt, but we just had so many. It just felt like it was stagnant. Like it just sucks as a fan when you're sitting watching and you have so much talent on the field, and you know as a fan what play we're about to run. Like, oh, we're about to run up the middle. You know what I mean? Like, it sucks. It sucks. And I was like, somebody, whoever's calling plays, and I'll just put on the offensive coordinator because as a fan, I don't know who's calling the play. And so I'll put that on the offensive coordinator. Like, man, we are very. And there was a few times where we were a little unpredictable, but I just felt like we were so predictable. I think our defensive coordinator, Matt Eberflus, I think that he's good. I believe in him. I think that the players like him. They trust him. Xavier Rose said in an interview that he loves the defense because he's allowed to play his game. That's why he feels like he's had a resurgence, because he doesn't feel like he's in a box. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Kenny Moore said the same thing. He said that he came from here. Before he came here, he was on the Patriots, and he said he hated playing football because he felt like he was a robot, that he had to just do every step he made and every play that he tried to make had to be robotic, exactly the way they said to do it, and he couldn't play. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so I like that in a coach.
And what about our new offensive coordinator, Marcus Brady? Got promoted from quarterback coach. What do you think of him? Do you know anything of him?
Yeah. I watched him speak. I love listening to the interviews, especially of the new coaches. I like it. I mean, I really do. I like hiring. I love the hiring of in-house. I like because I feel like chemistry is one of the most important things in sports. It could be with the coaches or the players, but chemistry is the best thing because it creates continuity. And continuity creates things to flow better. You know what I mean? Things to be more natural. You could talk to people. You can coach. You know what I mean? And so I love the in-house hiring. Him as a person, I like him because I don't see me personally. I don't like a rah coach. And maybe that's because I'm a Colts fan and we're Tony Dungy and Frank Wright. You know what I mean? Jim Caldwell. They're all calm guys. You know what I mean? Yeah. And so I like to me, like, not working with middle schoolers or things to where I'm like a little bit of accountability and not a raw. We're gonna hit him in the mouth, all this stuff. Like, just talk football, talk to these guys like they're men. I think that these coaches just flow very well doing that with the three-headed monster of Eberflus, Frank Wright. Well, I say four. I would include Chris Ballard just because he's a part of it. But Chris Ballard, and then you got underneath him, you got Eberflus, Reich, and Brady. I think that that's a good group of guys.
Yeah, certainly. A couple of guys who are still out there on free agency. as far as I know, Justin Houston and Malik Hooker. Is this the end of the chapter of the Colts for them too?
Malik Hooker, yeah, I believe so. Especially because we just picked up a safety and Sean Davis, who was with the Steelers for a couple seasons. I really like him. I think he's a smart football guy. I think he can hit hard and a smart guy, but I think that does it for Malik Hooker. I think that he's done. And I see some of his like interactions online. Malik Hooker has a lot of and maybe understandably so, he has a lot of, I'm not going to say insecurity, but he is very high emotion. So he wears his heart on his sleeve, and so he talks like, like, oh, I'm out of here, all this stuff, like to where it seems like he's hurt inside. So not saying that that's the reason why he's gone, but I think that adds on to the thought that I have that he's done. I think that we have struck with Kari Willis, Julian Blackman, both really talented, can stay healthy. Again, picked up Sean Davis. So I think that we have our safeties. We're gonna get maybe another one in the draft. Another one maybe in free agency. But I think Malik Hooker is gone. Justin Houston, I really believe that Chris Ballard was thinking like, okay, I don't want to bring Justin Houston back, but I absolutely will if the price is right. You know what I mean? And which that's his thought and everything, of course. So it's not unique. But Justin Houston was one of those guys to where he was like, no, he's old. He had some good games, but he didn't have an amazing season. Slow start. But I think that Chris Ballard was definitely into bringing him back. If I had to get in the mind, because all the big edge rushers were gone, So yeah, I don't know. Is there? I'm gonna throw a question back at you though. Is there a guy in free agency that you know of right now that did not leave the Colts that you would like back, or not back? I'm sorry, but like to sign.
That's a tough one, isn't it? To be honest, it's sort of how I've been following it is I believe what Ballard's doing. If the major one for me was getting Xavier Rhodes back. That was the major one. We're so short at the secondary. Well, the cornerback position at the minute. That was the major one because I thought he was a gunner. A bit gutted that Anthony Walker went, but not really, like you said. Sometimes things just don't work out. And I think for a bit of a momentum run, getting T.Y. Hilton back is massive. If T.Y. Hilton, especially after all the internet pressure, if T.Y. Hilton would come back, maybe we would have still started to see a few tensions rise up. And I know, players say they probably don't read the comments and stuff like that, but everyone's a person at the end of the day. And the last thing we need going into the home opener is Carson Wentz under a lot of pressure because we don't have T.Y. Hilton.
Right.
So I'm sort of, happy that we haven't gone and done what the Patriots did and gone and got every other free agent that's available.
Agreed. Yeah.
Would I like to have been aggressive? Yeah, but was that because other teams were being aggressive? Yeah. And I think, let's wait until the draft and see who's still available then, because a lot of teams are going to draft people in positions that I expect. A lot of, more experienced players could just find themselves without a team. And I think that's what Chris Ballard's waiting for, and I'm absolutely got the time of day for that.
Right.
So moving on then to the draft, big night, obviously. 21. Is it too far up to draft backwards, or is Chris Ballard going to try and recoup some picks for this Carson Wentz trade?
My heart tells me he's going to trade back. How far back? I have no clue. Maybe later. I don't know. Maybe later in the first round, maybe the beginning of the second round. I'm not really sure. I haven't looked at everybody's draft picks and saw, maybe that team wants to move up, and I haven't looked that too much into it. But knowing Ballard, which it's not a bad strategy because Ballard, I feel like, is real with himself in the sense of, okay, I'm good at drafting, which means that if you give me a surplus of draft picks, so we have 6 right now, so if we trade back and get, let's say, 2 or 3 more, depending on how far back we go, if we can get up to 8 or 9 picks this draft, or let's just say 8, then Ballard and I have the trust in him too that the more picks you give him, he's gonna find it somewhere to find. Even though that this draft doesn't have a bunch of guys, who are great that may like slip very, very, very far. I believe in Ballard is able to find those few diamond in the rough. So I feel like he'll trade back unless he's absolutely in love with somebody, love with like a left tackle or edge at 21. Which and we know Ballard. Ballard very rarely is in love with anybody. You know what I mean? I think he just likes people. So I think unless he's in love with somebody, that he'll take it. But I can definitely see him trading back just because he trusts him and his team. And we have a lot of good area scouts too. I don't know if you watched the with the next pick in the draft series.
Yes.
Yeah. So our area scouts look like they're on it. I trust those guys too, and I think he just trusts himself and his team. So you give me more draft picks, no matter where we're drafting, and we'll put something. We'll get somebody to put on the field.
Yeah. Is there anyone at 21 you want to take?
So and again, which is maybe a good thing, but I'm so used to the last couple of years, besides the 10-6 year that we had a couple of years ago, Andrew Luck. Lately I've been so used to looking at prospects that are like in between like 10 and like 19, but now we're like in the 20s. So I got to dig a little bit more into the bag. But the one that just pops out a little bit is there's a left tackle at the University of Texas. I think his last name is like Cosme or something like that.
Yes.
He just looks like he's really, he looks like his game is mature. He definitely doesn't, I think he's realistic because he doesn't look like he's like a top 10 guy. Maybe a top 15 if a team wants to reach for him, but he seems like our thing. And the thing is, though, is I'm not really too, and maybe this is me just being kind of like a ignorant fan, but I'm not too worried about the left tackle we take. I'm not too worried about their tape because with our coaching and our line, I mean, it's one of those things too where you surround yourself with greatness. At some point, you could be good enough. You know what I mean? And so I trust Ballard and his eye. So I definitely left tackle. I would be amazed. I think that Ballard has his eyes on left tackle for 21. And if the guy that he really likes at left tackle isn't there, then maybe an edge. But I'm thinking left tackle, maybe the tackle from UT if he doesn't trade back.
Yeah. I mean, I'd love us to fall into the hands of a superstar like Gregory Rousseau, Quitty Pay, that'd be nice. But like I said, I think that we've got to be realistic as Colts fans. But I think the most realistic person is Chris Ballard. And what's great about Chris Ballard is he's not thinking about this draft this year. He's already fought this draft through 3 years ago.
Yep.
He's now thinking 5 years ahead.
Yeah, exactly.
What he's going to pick then. And I think, testament to Chris, I always shout this out, but when Chris Ballard worked with the Chiefs, he was responsible for drafting Tyreek Hill, Travis Kelce, and Nicole Hardman.
Yeah.
So people seriously, I think he doesn't get the respect he deserves, Chris Ballard. Colts fans, obviously, know how good he is. Because we've had the worst in Ryan Grigson.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. So to go from Ryan Grigson and Chuck Pagano, all credit to Chuck, I'm sure he's a nice guy, but not the best coach in the world.
Yeah.
To Frank Reich and Chris Ballard, it's just a massive upgrade all around, isn't it?
Oh yeah. I mean, I just think back and look at Chuck Pagano was a defensive-minded coach with one of the best quarterback prospects ever with Andrew Luck. And then you got Ryan Grigson, who just wanted to draft like shiny toys, like wanted to draft like receivers and edge rushers and like not things that you needed. You know what I mean? So. Yeah, it was. Yeah, I'm very, very, very grateful for what we have now.
Yeah, Okay, so the game plan going forward for the Colts, do you see us as a power run team, a 4-3 West Coast? What are we going to bring to the season?
That's a good question.
Oh, it's just cut off. One second. Hopefully Jordan's back. Technology, excellent. As live. Just see if we can get Jordan back. If we can't, I'll round out the vlog or the stream state, and we'll sort out a catch-up stream afterwards. But hopefully we can get him back. I'll just see. Hopefully we should be back. You good?
Yeah, sorry about that. I don't know what happened.
Yeah, I think it's just a connection. You're a long way away.
yeah, about halfway across the world.
Yeah.
Okay.
So anyway, let's pick up. Where did we leave off?
Right. You were asking me what kind of team West Coast run heavy.
Yeah.
And so, and you would hear me, right?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay. I thought that was a good question because I mean, but they've okay. The Colts have made it well known they want to run the ball. So I mean, they run the damn ball, you know. But I'm with that, especially with a quarterback who you don't want them to get beat up. Trying to gain his confidence back. You want the defense as much, especially in the beginning of the season. You want the defense as off of him as possible. So we're definitely going to be showing teams our running back room a lot. I mean, I can see us running the ball in the first like 2 or 3 weeks. Like there's sometimes in games where you have to throw the ball. Like let's say you're down or into the half, something like that. But I would say in the first 3 weeks of the season, we're definitely going to be running the ball north of 30 times a game. I mean, definitely, like I'm talking like 40-ish, 35 to 40-ish times a game. With maybe Taylor getting 20 of those carries, Max getting 10, Matt getting 10, Hines getting 4, 5, 6, maybe, I don't know. But we're definitely going to be using our running back room a lot. Definitely more at the beginning of the season too. So Carson Wentz can kind of get his feet underneath him.
Can you see a lot of use for the 22 personnel?
I'm sorry, say that again?
Can you see a lot of use for 22 personnel?
Oh yeah. I'm sorry, you said a lot of use?
Yeah.
I can. Just because, I mean, you look at everybody on this thing I love about this team is everybody on our team has the ability, and maybe it's because drafting, maybe it's because coaching, maybe it's because we got lucky with the guys. But everybody on your team has the ability to have a big game. I mean, even like just look at the guys. We already know Jonathan Taylor, Marlon Mack, and Carson Wentz has had big games. T.Y. Hilton, but let's just look at the guys that are kind of the backups. That like guys like Zach Pascal. He's shown that he can. There was a few games where he was. I believe the game against the Steelers, like he was like the number one. Like you know what I mean? Like he showed he could be that. Michael Pittman had a great game. Mo Alley Cox had a great game. Jack Doyle was a Pro Bowler. So it's just we have Jordan Wilkins has shown that he can take the ball to the house on any given handoff. So I am really excited. You could throw Hines anywhere. You could throw Paris Campbell anywhere. I mean, they just have unreal speed. So I'm really excited. As long as this coaching staff is open and creative, and not so stagnant and one-minded and trying to be creative with the personnel and formation switches, I'm really excited to see what we can do with the 22 personnel.
Yeah.
Let me ask really quick.
Yeah.
I've been hearing a lot of buzz about the Colts potentially getting Zach Ertz from the Eagles once the Eagles eventually cut him, which is rumored to happen at some point. How would you feel about that?
My opinion on this is no dig on Zach Ertz. Fantastic player, and will be known for time. His plays will be shown on YouTube clips for years to come. But I don't see a need the Colts have for him, and I think it would be better for Carson to just have a completely fresh start. Obviously, other than the connection with Frank Reich, we don't need to bring in Zach Ertz when we have Jack Doyle.
Right.
Although I do believe, Zach Ertz probably better in the passing game than Jack Doyle. I believe Doyle's more of an all-rounder tight end.
Yeah.
And that's my personal opinion.
Yeah. No, I think I kind of agree with you, just because, and also Zach Ertz has just been injured for like the past 2 years, and so I get upset with Jack Doyle sometimes because he fumbles, once every like 4 or 5 games. I remember once upon a time that fumble cost us the game against the Bengals a couple seasons ago, but I think that a lot of times we take Jack Doyle for granted because we're so used to our offensive line and blocking, but people don't realize that Jack Doyle and Mo Alley Cox are great blockers in the run game, and they help out the line a lot. So with us trying to run the ball, I don't know how big. I wouldn't be upset if we went and got Zach Ertz for a decent price, but it would be one of those things that didn't make me, stand up out of my seat,
Yeah.
So I'm kind of in the same. Frame.
I don't think we need to. I won't say waste because it wouldn't be a waste, but I don't think we need to spend the cap space on him. Okay, so that's the offense. The defense is Matt Eberflus going to stick to his inverted Tampa 2 hybrid scheme, or is he going to blitz more?
That's a good question because at this point, our edge has only gotten weaker. I mean, we've lost Autry, we've lost Houston. We thought Trey was going to be better than what he was. I think that he still has more to show, and so that's actually a really good point. Unless we pick up somebody, like there's still the Melvin Ingram's available and Jadeveon Clowney's available. I'm not really crazy about. I would prefer Melvin over Clowney, but if it was down to those two, it was just the first two to come to mind. But if we don't pick up a real playmaker that's going to help DeForest Buckner beat his double teams, somebody on the edge, then I can definitely see us blitzing a lot more. I'm not really sure what's going on with Ben Banogu. I don't like he was on the injury report a lot, and then reporters were asking about him, and the coaches were saying, "Well, you got to produce in practice." So I'm like, "So is he lazy? Are y'all just punishing him, not letting him play, and he's not really injured, or what?" So I don't really know about him. So I can definitely see us blitzing more. It all just depends who we pick up in the next 2 months here.
Mm-hmm. Okay, and at this moment in time, the Colts have one of the better special team units out there. It's, a lot of guys, especially for anyone new listening or doesn't really understand American football, special teams can seem like a stepping stone to play your side of the ball. But it seems like the Colts have got it drilled down that if you don't do well in special teams, you don't play. If you do, you do.
Exactly. Exactly.
Do you rate our special teams unit as absolutely fine? Let's not touch it for next year.
Let's think about it. So currently we have Isaiah Rodgers. Depending if he gets more snaps as our return man on our kick return man, because I think we're gonna feature Hines still on the punt return. But unless Isaiah Rodgers gets more touches on defense, that takes him out of that spot, I like our return man on kick return. I mean, he's not only that one kick return for a touchdown against the Browns, but even there a few of them afterwards, he's shown a lot of athleticism, a lot of great speed. So I'm fine with that. I think Hot Rod, Blankenship, I think that he's it. I watched him a lot in college because I watched a lot of SEC football in college for college football, and I watched him a lot, and he looked like a geeky, nerdy kid, but he's played in. A lot of people don't realize he kicked the game winner for us against the Packers, and the thing is people see him as a geeky, nerdy kid. Which he may be, but however, he's been in those big situations. Like he's played in SEC championship games with stadiums that were bigger than NFL stadium. So I love the fact, and he's kicking great. He's kicking really good. So yeah, I don't really see any. And then the last, but Rigoberto Sanchez. I think that he's playing good. I'm glad that he's back from cancer. And I think that our special teams is one of the best in the league, really.
Yeah. And I mean, so my last sort of proper question is, who do you see a breakout year for this year? I mean, personally, I'd love it to be Isaiah Rodgers or maybe even Jordan Glasgow. I think he deserves a shout. Is there anyone you've seen coming through the practice squad, the third team, etc.?
Oh, that's a good question. And you say Jordan Glasgow. I didn't think about that, but that's a good, because like you said, when you produce on special teams, you get to play. Jordan Glasgow is one of those guys who, if available, he's going to give 110% effort, and I love that. But what comes to mind, me personally, and this may be odd, and I don't. Okay, so I'll say who I want to. Who I would love to have a breakout season is, which I think, obviously Paris Campbell, because I think that he deserves it. But I really like Desmond Patton, and because we've never seen him, but I always see him on like Michael Pittman's videos and always putting in work. And I'm like, and when I say breakout, like he's not gonna come out of nowhere and have like a 1,000-yard season while he has like 4 receivers ahead of him. But if someone goes down or if someone doesn't produce, I would love to see him not only begin to play more, but get a couple catches here and there, just as a small boost. But somebody who would actually be able to like take over. And I'm putting a lot. I mean, we're putting a lot of faith in Bobby Okereke, like that. He's already good. He's already made a lot of plays, but he now has to take that next step to where it's like, okay, this is like, I'm now the same as Darius and DeForest Buckner. Like we're all, you know what I mean? And he's not there yet, but he has the potential. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I see Bobby.
Excellent. Okay. So now I've got just a bit to close out the show. Bit of a fun question I asked all my Colts fans guests. Oklahoma drill. You got Quentin Nelson on one side. You got DeForest Buckner on the other side. Who's winning?
Oh my gosh, that is. Oh man, that was like a car crash. I just feel like Quentin Nelson will come with much more ferocious like nastiness. But DeForest Buckner is bigger than him. Like I don't know if he weigh. They may weigh nearly the same, but like taller and like just like a little bit. I guess if I had to put my money on it, I would have to go with Big Q. I really would. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's just a fun question. I'm sure they do it in training off camera. I'm sure they have a bit of a laugh at each other. Because if you want to
who would you take?
It's hard to see past DeForest Buckner.
So you got DeForest.
Yeah, I mean, every game, nothing against Big Q. I think he's the best left guard in the league, probably one of the best linemen in the league. But after every game last season, I'd tweet DeForest Buckner was worth 10 first-round picks, not just one. To get him for one first-round pick is almost getting Kenny Moore undrafted. That's how good of a pickup that is. Anyway, yeah. So have you got anything you want to bring to the table now?
I did have a couple questions. So the first one was, how did you feel about bringing Marlon? I had mixed emotions about bringing Marlon Mack back. How did you feel about that?
Loved it. Was a massive fan. I understood the economics of where Marlon Mack is in his career, what he might want to do, and what we've just produced with Jonathan Taylor just bursting onto the scene. So, it's my big concern is keeping both of them two happy. Because both of them two, they're going to want 100% of the reps. They're just bad. So if we can keep them both happy, and in 17 game weeks, it'll look like the best decision ever made. If we can't keep them both happy and then we get a bit of a split in the dressing room, that's when you'll start see it creeping out on the pitch, and that can be the ugly side of the game. But especially just the amount of money we got Marlon Mack back for, I was going to have him back.
Yeah, no, exactly. I thought it was odd because we have like our 1-2, but when I saw how much, like you said, when I saw how much money, I was like, it's impossible for me to be upset because it's like we got him for like nothing, So it's like, and he's a good player too. It's not like he's a bum, So also, I like asking Colts fans, what do you need to see? And similar to what you asked me, maybe a little bit different, but what do you need to see in Carson Wentz this year to be like, okay, I want him to be our franchise quarterback for the next, let's say, 6-7 years.
Yeah. I think the thing I want to see most is that fiery edge that Philip Rivers brought into this team. We're used to Andrew Luck, who after every play it'd be hit about 30 seconds later. The whistle's gone and then he gets hit and he still gets up and says, "Nice hit." Although it's funny to watch on mic'd up, I want to see someone who's just going to absolutely get at these guys and a bit of personality. Apart from Philip Rivers, the standing quarterbacks we've had to say, none of them really had anything personality. Jacoby everything was 5-yard check downs, whether you needed 20 yards, whether you needed 3 yards, it was 5-yard check downs.
Yes.
And etc. I could go through the list of that torrid time of quarterback that we had, but that's that. So I just want to see, I mean, not to be too cliche, but him to express himself. You let him throw deep. Even if he gets intercepted a couple of times, let him throw deep. Don't get on his back because it will find his groove. It took Philip Rivers, a veteran of 55 million years and 49 children later, to find his groove with the Colts. So just I want to see a quarterback who can let it go, and that's honestly what I'm hoping for.
Right, yeah. Okay, I'm gonna throw one more at you. So when it comes, let me actually kind of went on a blank. Oh, that's what it was. Okay. As it comes to the NFL draft, if you had to one position in particular, because I don't know how much you look into like the prospects, the college and the prospects looking of it. I mean, sometimes it gets overwhelmed for me. I'm like, look, I can't look at 200 guys. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
What position, no matter if we move back or not, what position would you like to see Balor take first, whether it be edge, corner, left tackle? Would you personally?
It's a tough one. I mean, I think you made a point earlier where you said we don't need a great left tackle.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we can put a Chaz Green in there and he can look good next to Quentin Nelson.
Right.
I think we need edge, and you know, we don't get a lot of college football over here. We get bare minimum highlights of some games here and there. So I can't tell you who I'd take or why I'd take them. But what I can say is we need someone to take the spotlight off DeForest Buckner, because teams are going to start double teaming him. Teams are going to start triple teaming him.
Yeah.
Putting him on the strong side. So we really need someone who makes, you know, the opposition coaches look the other way for once.
Right.
Because although DeForest Buckner was getting to the quarterback, the ball had gone towards the end of that season. So quarterback hits are nice when they're for your team, obviously, and it does wear the other team down, but that's not really good enough in this league. It's good enough in college when the young kids, you know, and you get the wind taken out of it, you hurt, you don't want to get back up again.
Right.
In the NFL, you know, someone like Aaron Rodgers, Josh Allen, these big guys are going to get back up again. So I think we need to take edge just to take the spotlight and the weight of that line away from Buckner.
Right. That's a really good point. Yeah. Oh, okay. Yeah, that was all I had for you.
Excellent. It's been fun chatting to you. We've been speaking football probably just over an hour now. If you just want to, you know, plug anything you want to plug or sell now, do it now.
Oh, no, nothing like that.
That's fine. Ladies and gentlemen, for people watching, for people who have watched, thanks for joining. It means a lot. And thank you to my guest, Jordan, for joining all the way from Vegas. It's been a pleasure.